Alright guys, today we're going to go over setting up and using our oxygen acetylene cutting torch. We went through the safety setup, all that in the classroom last week. We're going to go through and actually hands-on how to do it, show you how to perform the cut. So what bottle is this? Acetylene. Remember, red's acetylene, green's are oxygen, right? Acetylene is our gas, it's flammable. What should we not get it over? 15. Anything over 15 psi becomes volatile, meaning it can explode. So when we're cutting, we typically want to keep it at 5. This top gauge, like we talked about in the lesson, is the pressure in the tank. This bottom gauge is our pressure going to our line. This is our regulator valve. Once we get it set, you don't need to adjust this up or down. We want it set about 5 psi to actually cut, or really heat as well. Then our oxygen, same thing. Our top one is how much pressure is in the bottle. Our bottom is how much pressure is coming into our lines. Our lines are also red and green, so we know which one's acetylene, which one's oxygen. This is our regulator valve, which can reduce or increase our pressure going into the line. We want about 30 psi typically of oxygen to make a cut. So 5 acetylene, 30 oxygen. So we can start off by getting our torch. This is our cut torch. It's a 2-piece cut torch. We take this top off and change it with a brazing or heating torch, whatever you want. This is our cut torch. We have our hose wrapped up so we don't run over it and get holes. So the first thing we do is stretch it out, move it out from under. So we don't want it under, especially for cutting. If you're cutting and the slag's going down on the hose, it's going to cause holes and catch on fire. So remember, like we talked about, you don't stand in front of the regulator. Why? It can blow off if it was a faulty regulator or too much pressure, right? So start with your acetylene, crack it slow. Turn it about a half turn. See where we're at. We're only about 60 psi in this bottle, so we're actually getting pretty low, but there's still enough to cut for a little bit longer. You see right here, we're already at 5 psi. So instead, we don't need to touch that. If we crack our acetylene, realize that drops some, we can crank it up just a tad. And that's set. Remember, once it's off, the pressure may go up a point or two on your PSI, but when we're cutting it, it's on, you want it about 5. So we're set there, this is holding, then we come over to our oxygen, we turn it on slow, make sure the regulator's going to hold it, we go ahead and crack it wide open. This one is already set about 30 PSI, so that's where we want it, so we don't mess with it. Then we get a striker. You know what a striker is? Where is my striker?
Sitting on the plasma table.
Huh?
Plasma table.
Our striker is our spark, right? We don't ever want to use a lighter, right? It can blow up, right? It's typically plastic. You hit that fuel, it'll blow up in your hand, burn you. So the striker is just a little flint striker. Literally hold it out front. So which one do you cut on first? Do y'all remember? Acetylene first. Cut on oxygen first, it's not going to light, right? We always start with acetylene. You don't want to crack it wide open, there's no need to. So crack it about half a turn, hold it out away from you, make sure you're not holding toward anybody, and then strike it. You see how it's too high? You see how there's that gap? That means you got too much acetylene. This is too less, that's soot, right? It'll actually stick to you. So you want to add till the smoke starts to dissipate. Where it's about right there. A little smoke's okay, but you don't want that gap. It won't cut her. Right? Set your striker down. Now we got our acetylene. Make sure not to hit our oxygen trigger. But go ahead and crank this open. Then we can go ahead and make sure this is closed. Go ahead and open our oxygen. We'll go ahead and open it wide. Then we crack this slow. So our oxygen is on here, but not here. If we press this, it's going to shoot all the oxygen and make it go out. So remember, keep your hand under it, and then you crack this slow. Sometimes it's tight, so don't go too far. You want to bring your blue cone down. That's our carburizing flame. You want to bring it down so right off the tip, maybe about a half an inch to an inch. And that's what you want. That's what a cut flame should look like. So to make it cut, you're going to hold it over the side of the metal you're cutting. You have to let it start glowing cherry red. If it doesn't, it won't cut. So you start on the side, preheat it, and let it glow. Then you can press your trigger, which adds more oxygen, If you see, these valves are real touchy, so be careful not to hit them with your gloves. And once you get it glowing, you press it and drink your cut. Does that make sense? So I'm going to turn it off real quick. We'll walk over here and I'll show you guys how to make a cut, and then I'll let some of you guys practice. So you see I have safety glasses. When we're cutting, we need shaded goggles, shaded face shield, or these safety shaded glasses, which is tinted for oxyacetylene cutting. So I'll just swap these over. Like I said, we have the glasses or the goggles. All of y'all are familiar with them. It's pretty straightforward. Remember your PPE, your glasses, your cotton clothes, your gloves. Anytime you're cutting, it's important to make sure you stand away from your cut and always keep your hose where A, you're not going to trip over it, B, you're not going to get the slag or the hot piece of metal on it and mess your hose up. It's always good if you're cutting small pieces of metal or even larger pieces to clamp it in place. That way it doesn't shoot up on you. If you cut this or accidentally hit it and it flies up, all this metal is going to be hot and it's going to burn you. You got to clamp it. Got it? Instructor is right here. Okay. So we'll start again. Start with acetylene. Crack it open. Get it lit. That's too much right off the bat, so we'll break it down. Right there. Make sure this oxygen up top. Our adjusting valve's off. Turn this oxygen on. And dial it in up here. Bring your carburizing flame down. So it's about an inch. This valve's kind of touchy, so you may hit it and adjust it. So now that we got that, it's important to brace, get comfortable. You can see I'm standing off from it. That way it's not going to fall on my shoes, not going to, all the sparks isn't going to hit me. So you hear how it pop? If this gets too close when you're cutting, it'll pop. It's just that gas pushing back and that slag into the tip. So if you hear the popping, just back it up, pull it back slowly. You want to keep it maybe a quarter inch or a little closer. But you start on the edge of the piece, and once you see it start to glow, then you press your trigger. If it goes out like that because you're going too slow or too fast, just start where you left off reheating it, and then press it again. Some of these welds are hard to cut through on this metal, so you just may have to slow down a little. Sometimes when you cut, the slag will kind of reform, so it's okay just to come back through with a quick pass to cut that slag out. Then you got your metal. So again, don't touch that, don't touch this with your bare hands. It's hot, use pliers or weld pliers to pick it up. So to turn it off again, you turn your oxygen off first, turn this oxygen off, and then all you have is acetylene. Just turn it on. So, last step, when you're done cutting, it's important to turn your bottles off. Again, if you're unsure which way is off, it says right on top, off or on. So, close them real quick, and then if you look, we still have pressure in the line. So next, we have to purge our lines. We don't need pressure in this. It can blow the seals, it can leak out. So to purge them, you just turn your bottles off, simply turn it on. Let the pressure go down to 0. You'll see it drop all the way. Then do the oxygen the same. Remember, if you just turn this one on, you can just either turn this on or just press it. Let it go all the way to 0. You'll see your gauges bottom out. You'll hear it quit hissing. And then you just shut them. And then the last step is just wrap it up. Wrap your equipment up so you don't run over it, so it doesn't cause problems with kinks in the hoses, get holes in the hoses. And so wrap it up on the cart. Make sure to wrap up tight and keep your cutting torch off the ground so it doesn't get damaged. These brass cutting torches are soft, so if you drop them, they can get damaged pretty easily or bent. So make sure you hang it up and keep it secure. Any questions? All right.